So try to have a feeling known conversation with someone that you care about today, whoever that is. If that's your mom, if that's your dad, if that's your spouse, if that's your sibling or a
Friends, kids.
friend, have that conversation. Nothing is more important to us, I think, than the connection of feeling truly known by somebody. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Till the Wheels Fall Off. I am Matt.
I'm Paige.
What makes a good relationship? What would you say in any relationship in your entire life makes that relationship worthwhile?
Fulfilling.
Is it that you know the person very well, or is it that you feel like they know you? It's a good question to ask yourself, and one that we're going to really dig into today. This is along the lines of the kind of stuff that we wanted to make when we started our show. I feel like at times we can get sidetracked just talking about addiction rather than stuff that applies to everything in your life. Everything, not so singular. So please stick around. Please listen to this one. This is what we really want people to take away, is what we're about to discuss today. This came from a discussion that Paige and I had in real life, and we will be reading you text messages from that discussion, along with a couple of other things that I've read recently, and it was like all the stars are aligning to say, this is probably your next topic. So you'll get to see how podcast babies are born. The makings of an episode, the bones of an episode, kind of through this. It'd be kind of fun behind the scenes look anyway.
Yeah.
Of just kind of the way we talk to each other. If anyone's ever been curious about that. I don't think you are, but
I
just
mean,
in
y'all
case.
hear us every week. That's how we talk to each other.
That is true. Let's get it going. All right. Hey, we've got a website, twfo.com. That is tufo.com.
Not tofu.
I'm out.
If you know, you know. He
This is
doesn't know what that means.
inside joke I'm apparently
It
not
is
part
an
of.
inside joke.
Anyway, on our website, we've got a plethora of things that are all TUFO related. This is your first time listening. You have no clue who we are. Got an About Us section. We've also got a newsletter and blog that goes out every single week. If you want to get that direct to your inbox, put your email address in there. I will not spam you or bother you or send you Black Friday deals or any of that crap. If you're not getting the emails, or if you just don't want them, they also get posted up as a blog, and you can just go and read them, usually the same day. We've also got some free resources available in that blog section, some PDFs, some things that we created. We've also got merch and stuff, fun stuff, right? This is a recovery rock. It's got our logo on the front. On the back, it says, "Thank you for being my rock." This is a really cool way to acknowledge the path that someone has walked with you. Remember, if you're in recovery or you're going through something difficult, it's not just about you. It's about the people around you that have done this with you. They rarely get acknowledgement. This is a cool way to show appreciation. While you're there, you can also check out sweatshirts, t-shirts, hats. Paige is rocking one right now. Comes in white as well. We've
That's my
got
summer one.
stickers. I could have sworn there was something else. I just always forget.
Sweatshirt. Oh, you already said sweatshirts.
Maybe I'm just losing it. Anyway, all of that stuff's available there. If you want to support the show, it's a great way to do it. We've also got a Patreon that I always forget to mention.
Oh, yeah.
If you go to our link tree in any of our social media profiles, you can sign up for it there. If you want to buy us a cup of coffee, it's a great way to do it. We've got books and free resources available on the website. And we've also got a course, not a free resource, however, but there's a good reason, because it is robust, it is worth it, and a lot of time and effort has gone into it. Paige and I developed a course that we wish that we would have had access to when we were going through everything that we've been through. You know, information on like, what are boundaries? What does that even mean? What are the effects of addiction and betrayal? How does it actually affect somebody? What am I looking at moving forward to heal from? What is the difference between helping somebody or supporting them and enabling them? What is self-care? How do you rebuild a healthy self? It is not just for someone who's in a relationship. It is not just for someone who's out of one, because it doesn't concern itself with that. It's concerned about you, the individual, and what you need as a person to grow. That is all we care about. And I promise you, I guarantee you, if you do the work on the other side of it, you will be a different person. You will be a person that you are proud to be. You will also be able to make decisions about your life from a place of confidence and not fear. If you're stuck, you feel stuck, the course is for you. You can get 75% off that course right now using the code Wheelies75. That's Wheelies with an S at the end, 75. We've got a sober for today's. A
what?
Sponsor for today's show, Sober Link. Excuse me.
Nice.
Almost had it too. SoberLink. SoberLink's been an amazing sponsor for the show. If you don't know what SoberLink is, it is a discreet and sleek and high-tech breathalyzer. It is not like the cheap crap that you buy on Amazon or
That can be broken.
at the drugstore or anywhere like that. Yeah, they don't work. They can be cheated. They can be worked around. And it's so much more than just a breathalyzer as well. I think the coolest part about SoberLink is that you can set up contacts. You can set up as many or as few as you want people that you notify every time that you either blow clean, listen sober, or not sober with alcohol in your breath. Notify these folks. So if you've got a support community, it's a really great way to instill confidence in people and just sort of take the "are you drinking" question completely off the table. It's no longer a question. Now, they don't have to think. Are they telling the truth? Are they not? And that can be really, really helpful for a spouse who has lost their ever-living mind trying to figure out if you're lying or not. And if you want to take that question off the table and rebuild trust, volunteer, get a sober link, and give them that honor to be able to focus on something else, whether or not, other than whether or not you're lying about something. Another great use of SoberLink is in custody agreements. We mentioned that you can put people on there, like sober contacts and whatnot. You can also put an attorney. You can put a counselor, a therapist. It is court admissible in all 50 states and in Canada and trusted by over 200,000 people. It is considered the gold standard in court. So if you were in some kind of a custody battle, or you're trying to write your custody agreement and what that looks like, make sure you've got SoberLink in there so you can know that when your children are going somewhere, which they're the most valuable thing in your life, that they're going somewhere safe, that they're going to be with someone who's a sound and sober mind. It's incredibly important. SoberLink has been kind and generous enough to give our listeners a $50 off coupon if you go to the website soberlink.com/wheels. Put your email address in there and they will send it to you. Again, that's soberlink.com/wheels.
Good job. We did it 3 times and you hit me. That's why I was like, what's going on?
What do you mean?
You didn't even know that you hit me.
Just now?
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm sorry. No,
it was funny.
Oh, that's your knee. I thought that was the table. Is that what you're talking about? My bad. Okay.
Don't curve.
All right. So we were having a discussion because
yes. Okay.
All right. There is
found
a guy that if you don't follow, if you don't read, you ought to. His name is Adam Grant. Adam Grant is, we both read his Substack. Mm-hmm. He's also got social media accounts, I think, on just about every platform. Although I don't know if he's on TikTok or not.
Not very many people are on TikTok that are like
smart.
Legit. That was
just
funny.
Say it. I know what you were thinking.
I mean, really?
Yeah. Okay. So he posted a study that was done by the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology. And here's what it says. 7 studies show that believing one is known by their partner, i.e. feeling known, predicts relationship satisfaction more than believing one knows their partner. This is essentially confirming, and 7 different studies confirm it, it's confirming something that we've basically all known forever, is that feeling known by somebody, feeling truly known and understood and heard is actually more powerful than knowing someone else. So most of the time we're focusing on expressing ourselves and trying to draw people to us by acting more interesting. Think about peacocks, right? They got these tail feathers. What's the purpose of those feathers? It's to attract mates.
Yeah.
Right?
Look at me.
Look at me.
Look at how
me.
beautiful I am. Look at all the cool stuff I have.
Right. Look how I can make you feel. But as it turns out, it's good to be interesting. Don't get me wrong. But it's better to be interested, to feel truly known.
Yeah.
So we got into this discussion about this very topic. I'm going to open up my notes here and walk you guys through a text thread. Some
of my texts were funky because I was doing speak to audio or whatever, speak to text. You know what I'm talking about? Because you were reading these earlier and you're like, what?
So the gist of the study basically says that the best partners are those that make us feel known and understood and seen. And if you think about any relationship in your life that you hold most dear, isn't that the case? Like, stop and think about it. Isn't that the case that your favorite relationships, the ones that you cherish the most, are ones where you really feel like they know you?
And not necessarily know you, because you know how many times you've told me, like, you know me like the back of your hand, like you know me. Sometimes I'll say that you know me better than I know myself, but did I ever feel that way? That's the difference.
Yeah, you ever heard that country song, 90s country, which was always the best country, by the way.
That's what I listen to in the summertime
if you
by
disagree.
the pool.
What Mattered Most, I think it was Ty Herdman.
What, Matt? I know that song, yeah.
I think that was it, but it describes someone who knows basically every detail about someone's life but doesn't actually know them. And they sure as hell don't feel known by him.
Yeah.
Just knowing the basics, right? Your favorite food or something like that isn't truly being known. Do you know what their worst? Okay, before I wanted to ask a question. So Your favorite relationships are going to be those which you feel known. It's not knowing someone else that makes the relationships great. Is that, do you feel known? So having asked that question, how many one-sided relationships are in your life where you feel like you truly know somebody, but it's not reciprocated?
Like, do you feel heard almost?
Think about your boyfriend or girlfriend or fiance or your husband or wife. Do you feel known? Ask yourself the question, honest assessment right now. Do you feel known? It's not as simple as you would think. People want to say yes. Of course you want to say yes, but is that true?
Right. I would have said probably yes back in the day just because I thought it was that way. But in reality, I did not feel known at all. So
we go to have this conversation. I send her a photo of the study.
We're constantly sending each other Substack articles.
Yeah. And I said, so seven studies show the happiest and most satisfied people in relationships are those that feel known by their partner, not those that feel like they know their partner. The best partners are those that seem to make us feel seen and known. And you responded, fucking facts.
I did.
Yeah. Basically, if they don't care about you, it's going to be miserable. 7 studies confirm what we instinctually knew all along. If you want a better relationship, get interested. The paradox hidden inside of all of this is that the more interested you are in others, the more interesting they find you. And then this is where it gets kind of interesting. You want to read your parts?
You want me to?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I sent you a really weird song randomly that had nothing to do with this conversation, but I was driving.
You had that locked and loaded beforehand.
I did. I said, I really believe that because, like, think about our patterns. I've always been interested in you. I've followed you. I've enjoyed you. And people might call that codependent, but I called that fucking interested in a goddamn partner.
The language.
Yeah, sorry. This is no, I'm not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. This is who I am. And when you didn't reciprocate, I was miserable because I didn't feel like you were interested in me. And then you said this song slaps.
That was also locked and loaded.
I love our relationship.
Out of context.
Yeah, I know. It's great. But we get it each other. That's how it works. And then I said, you know how you're like, again, I was voice texting. You've never thought about breaking up or whatnot. Like, Matt didn't really believe that divorce was an option. I didn't say this in the text, but I'm just going to give context here, is that Matt didn't really believe in divorce. And I would go along with it because I was like, yeah, I don't really believe that, but deep down, I was like, if you fuck up, I'm okay with divorcing. But it was really difficult to have those conversations with you. We've had these conversations before. Yeah. And I said, I had to think about that because I felt like I wasn't being heard or I wasn't being seen or I didn't matter in our relationship. But that was hard to admit and be honest about because you felt totally different. I'm having an epiphany right now. So whenever I would bring things up. Even I remember whenever I brought up, let's go to marriage counseling. And you said, no, our relationship is great. Or it's awesome. It's incredible. We don't need to go to a therapist. Yeah, that's a red flag. But I was thinking, yeah, you didn't think that way. You didn't think that way because you thought our relationship was great.
I felt great.
Because you felt known.
That's exactly right.
Because you felt heard.
That's exactly right. And that was my reply was, and that's a great split test for the study findings too. Ask the person in the relationship that feels known. And I guarantee you they'll report being happy in that relationship. Now ask the person that knows the other person but doesn't feel known, and you're going to get a totally different answer. And this is where I want to leave off with the text for a minute and just have a conversation about this.
Okay.
Some context about our relationship. This is my favorite thing about Paige. For the longest time was that we shared my favorite interest in the entire world, me. That was our shared interest because I was interested in me and she was interested in me. So what better way to have a relationship? Obviously, I'm being facetious here. It's a terrible way to base a relationship, but my dumbass did not feel like that was out of the ordinary. I don't know what I thought. I really don't know what I thought. This is younger, right? I was younger growing up, but I've always been kind of slow. I mean that. It didn't really occur to me. And I've said that so many times, it's embarrassing to say it, but I felt like this is great. She's happy. I'm happy without ever considering the fact that I don't truly know you. I didn't truly know you back then. I knew all the answers for the test, but I didn't truly know you. I didn't know what your biggest fears were. I didn't know what a lot of your current interests were because you were so consumed in me. And I kind of designed it that way. In a lot of ways. For so long in our relationship, there was this lopsided effect where it was all about me. And for the longest time, it was about me. When someone's going through something like addiction and then they get sober, once again, it's all about them. It's all about them. And I'm sick and tired of hearing people say that there's a reason for it. Of course, there's a reason for it. I'm never going to argue that. But it still doesn't change the fact that the other person feels left out and they get sidelined for quite some time, some forever. Okay, so miss me. I know I'm saying I don't care. It does the same thing to them.
Yeah.
Even if it is necessary, the effect is the same.
Yeah.
Intent does not change impact. Okay, it doesn't change impact. So it's always been a lopsided sort of thing. We found equity, and I asked you the question in that text message, like, do you feel known now? I think that was.
Yeah. You said, so the big question is, and be honest, do you feel known now? And I said, I'm getting there. I think it takes some time to rewire the brain to feel 100% heard. When I spent many years feeling alone, I'm really embracing it though, and know you care and listen. You're doing all the right things. It's just up to me to let my guard down, if that makes sense.
And I said, I think that's probably exactly the way that repair looks, if I had to guess. There's just no switch that flips. And this is a question we get all the time. If there were a switch you could flip that made you trust someone again instantly, or made you fall back in love instantly, or made you feel safe again instantly, we would have figured out that shortcut long ago, and it would be one of the most widely known things in the entire world. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. The road to safety is long and arduous, and it is not linear. It is back and forth.
And it depends on certain situations too within your relationship, certain dynamics. Like there are some things that I trust you 100% in, and there's some things that I'm still like, still in the back of my mind. Like, I don't know if I 100% trust you in that area.
There's no switch that flips. So over time, you can say that you feel known now, but it's still kind of weird for you at times.
So I know that you know me very well. I think it's more, do you hear me? And are you interested in me? It's the little things. It kind of goes back to the Boyz II Men concert, right? We've talked about the Boyz II Men concert a couple of times on here.
If y'all don't know what the Boyz II Men concert is, if you're new, years and years ago, Paige had asked me to take her to a Boyz II Men concert. She grew up loving Boyz II Men.
This was in sobriety, by the way.
I despised Boyz II Men. Yeah, this was
years.
A couple years in.
Yeah.
I despised Boyz II Men. Didn't even despise them, just didn't know anything about them. I had no interest in going to the show. And without even as much as a thought, I told her I have no interest in going to that show. And she was hurt by it, really hurt by it. I got a lesson in empathy, understanding the fact that I was known, but she was not through that. Many years later, they came back through town and we went, and I love Boyz II Men. And I think they were actually ended up on my Spotify Wrapped for like one of my top artists.
Yeah. You started actually listening to them. Either way, I don't care if you're interested in, I don't care if you like what I'm interested in. The point is being interested in something that your partner is interested in, like same with the values. It's even deeper than that. It's not just your hobbies or things like that, but that's surface level stuff that still matters.
Yeah,
the little things. So it goes back to the Boyz II Men concert. You didn't want to do that, but you did because it's something I wanted, which is what we did last year. I think it was a year ago when we went. I've always been interested in you, always just wanted to understand you and grow with you and live with you and do the things with you. I didn't feel the same. So it's kind of a weird adjustment transitional phase.
Yep.
This is just one of those things that we're having to grow through, even so far in recovery and sobriety. Like this wasn't one of those things that we really picked up on early on. It took you're almost 12 years sober.
Yeah.
And it's been a few years of dealing with this specific thing.
Yeah. It takes time to rebuild this kind of stuff, man. And I acknowledge it. I go on to say basically, like, I get it, but what does it actually mean to feel known? So do you feel supported? Do you feel alone? Do you feel like your interests are shared, even if they aren't exactly my interests? Who are your favorite artists? What are your favorite songs? What are the thoughts that race through your mind? What are your needs, and am I even aware of them? What are your current interests and fears? These kinds of things, I felt like at one time I could probably assume what they were, but it would have been surface level, never really known, because I never spent long enough to truly ask you. And I see a ton of couples that go through this, so many couples that go through this, where you kind of live compartmentalized lives and you don't focus too much about each other. And it's wild. Like, we fall in love because we think that we found our person. This is our partner. This is the person that I am interested in. But most time it's because we feel interested we feel interesting when we're around them. But often that's not shared. It's just usually one person doing this. The other person just kind of sits idle and goes along with it, hoping that one day it's going to be returned. It's going to be reciprocated. Without some kind of event that brings things to a head, it probably won't. Ours was addiction, but I've always said addiction was just the conduit for us that got us to a stage of growth. That was it. I wish there was a better way we could have gone about it, like most people, but that's what got us there.
It's what it is.
Yeah. And then at some point you'd said like, it'd be great to record this conversation, which is what we're doing right now. Read that one though, near the end where you talk about, at this point, I'm just more or less.
Okay. I do have to find that I have a hard time finding what I'm interested in because I've always been focused on what you're interested in. And I don't know where to begin. I think I need to just hop on YouTube sometimes and just find something that I could possibly be interested in. I mean, I've been doing it for the past couple of years with, starting dance back, playing the drums, reading different things, and just exploring myself a little bit more.
Yeah, it takes a little while to kind of figure out what you're really into as well, because for the longest time, it was all about either little kids or it was about me.
True.
It was about something else. I think a lot of people go through this, a lot of women particularly.
I do too.
Especially with younger kids, you kind of lose your sense of identity.
Yeah, we have an identity shift with all different milestones within our lives. And so I don't want to say that I completely lost myself just because of you and not being interested in me. And I was always interested in you. I mean, we had kids. And if you're a mom or a parent of little kids, especially under 5, that's your life. Like, it's really hard to still be interested in things. So you kind of have to reinvent yourself.
Yeah, you really do, man. And it's tough. And if you've lived in a relationship that's like sort of this one-sided thing, it can be really hard to allow yourself to be vulnerable because it puts you in a position where you could get rejected. You could get turned down if someone doesn't reciprocate interest of any kind. It's almost confirmation that this relationship is effed and it's on its way out. It's dying, if you will. It's on its last few breaths. If there's no shared interest, then what the hell are we together for?
Yeah. Or not just shared interest, just like be interested in your partner's interests. Like, just talk about it. Be open. Be willing to like take them somewhere that you don't really want to go to. Listen to them talk about what is important to them. Can we talk about like the deep stuff and what's really important of what you want to know about? Like, we're talking about surface level stuff, like values. Really discuss your values with one another and see if your partner actually hears you. Do they really care about what you feel? Typically, if somebody's in active addiction, they're not going to hear you when you're talking about your values or your fears or what you're going through. But they may say, but you might know them in a way, you might know them a little bit.
You'll probably know them.
You'll know them because you're trying to save your relationship. You're trying to be a part of this relationship. Like you're
desperately trying to connect in an effort to get them closer.
Exactly. Right.
And then they just keep running.
Yeah.
And it's just this game of perpetual keep up.
Yeah.
Keep up. As we keep running down this road, it's just going nowhere. You chasing me, and that's kind of what it looked like. I don't want to get into dismissive avoidance and
no, we're not doing that.
Anxious attachment and all that crap.
Nope, not doing it.
Got some strong opinions about that stuff that we'll discuss at another time.
Maybe.
But either way, I remember having this moment of Sonder. If you're not familiar with the concept of Sonder or what Sonder is, you've experienced it more than likely many times throughout your life. Maybe some people many times every day. It's this moment of realization and recognition that every single person around you has an inner world that is just as rich as your own. That to them, they are the main character in this movie called life. Everything is being filmed through their eyes. And even for even if it's your most intimate partner or through your children or your best friends, we are just supporting role actors in their movie. I remember having this intense moment of Sonder, and it was with you, thinking for a moment like, holy shit, I have been selfish for so long. And I've never given too much thought at all about what your mind must be like and everything that you experience every day. And I felt embarrassed. I felt horrible. I felt shame for feeling that way because it just occurred to me. This is like many, many, many years into a relationship. But it also drove me to really turn this around and focus more on being mindful and really considering other people before myself. I was talking to someone recently about just recovery in general and kind of like the process of growth and being introspective and trying to be just a better man. And I described it as, at one point in my life, I was trying to win the Academy Award for Best Actor. And I was walking around trying to be the best actor in my movie. And then at some point after this moment of recognition, I dropped that goal completely. I scrapped it. And my goal now is to be the best supporting actor. I want to win an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. That's what I'm trying to do now. I want to be the best supporting actor in everyone's life around me. I tried to run my own show. It didn't go very well. I'm much happier this way.
Your life matters too, though.
Well, sure it does.
Your interests matter.
As
your
a,
values.
as a person who is default selfish, I'm still going to get plenty of me, plenty of my own time. I promise you.
It's a necessity for you.
It's default selfish. I'm
is.
always going to.
It's part of it.
Always going to default back to that state. So if I'm actively trying to be more involved, be more interested, ask more questions,
Active listening.
Actively listen.
So important. That's what this is.
I know I can always go back to being selfish me if I wanted to, if I really, really wanted to.
It's easy.
But
it would be easy.
The conscious effort to really understand people around me gives me so much inner peace, and it just makes me feel better. I feel better. I feel more part of everything and not like the center of it.
Do you feel like your relationships are more fulfilling since you've turned this way?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like I get much more than I ever did before too. It's almost like beautifully selfish. Like I am actually interested in you, in other people, and how you figure things out and how you think and how you solve problems.
But are you?
Yeah, truly.
Just kidding.
And you're an ass. And then when I am actually interested, you think that I'm interesting because I make you feel like that. But really, I'm taking something from you, and you're getting this feeling of, oh wow, like I matter. Someone cares.
Yeah.
So we both win.
Right.
The other way, it's only one person winning, and we tried that for a long effing time, and it didn't work.
It worked for you for a little bit.
Yeah, man. I guess you could say it worked. Chris Williamson has a newsletter, Superior to Mine. It's really good. If you haven't signed up for
I
that,
wouldn't say superior. I think it's great though.
ChrisWillX.com. It's a 3-minute read. Comes out every Monday.
Yeah, it's good.
He did one. This was December 16th. This is another thing that I had read that made me think about this. He has this idea he calls reverse charisma. We all think that we want to be charismatic. We want to show up and make people think that we're amazing and interesting. We've all heard that, Riz. That's what the kids are saying these days. Riz. He's got Riz. That you just got this it factor that attracts people to you.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with your ego or how stylish you are or anything else. As it turns out, it's about how interesting you make other people feel about themselves.
Yeah.
So he says that Jenny Jerome, who was Winston Churchill's mother, once dined with both Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli and his rival William Gladstone on consecutive nights. When asked about her impressions of the two men, she said, "When I left the dining room after sitting next to Gladstone, I thought he was the cleverest man in England. But when I sat next to Disraeli, I left feeling that I was the cleverest woman." That's exactly what we're getting at here.
Mm-hmm.
The study that Adam Grant posted supports this, and the 6 others that deal with it support this. But it's this idea that to really be connected in a relationship isn't about trying to be attractive in any sort of way. It's about trying to be interested. And then the paradox is that whenever we act more interested and when we are more interested in other people, they feel closer to us as well.
Yeah.
So if you want the ultimate relationship, get interested in each other. Simply that. Get interested.
Mm-hmm.
Ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? What
Deep
are you into right now?
too, and actually listen. And it doesn't have to be about you unless they ask the questions back,
Yeah, when in that study, there was this cool takeaway. The study was done by Juliana Schroeder and Ayelet Fishback. The brain experiences being understood as a reward. Dopamine. So it releases oxytocin, feel-good chemicals, dopamine, and activates emotional safety zones. It says, again, the best partners are those that make us feel seen and known.
Which is one of the I am going to go back to addiction real quick, is that's one of the biggest issues with being a spouse of a partner, or being a spouse or partner of an addict, is that you don't feel heard many times. Like it is almost like it is a form of betrayal, and you don't feel heard. You don't feel seen. You don't feel like your partner is there or interested in you because, they're more interested in themselves and the substance that they're using. And it's not, the power imbalance is different. Like it's just, you're the one who's trying to make this relationship work and make it go. You can't do it by yourself. It's important to have a partner who hears you and makes you feel seen and heard. Like it's so important.
Yeah. And back to your text, there's the quote where I followed you referring to me.
Uh-huh.
And people might call that codependent or whatever, but I call that just being interested in my partner. And when you didn't reciprocate, I was miserable. You were miserable in this thing for a long time, but if you would have asked me what I thought, I'd have said, we're happy.
Great. We have a great relationship.
She's great.
Because you felt known.
I felt known. I also think back to like what my mind was like back then. If you would have asked me if I knew you, I would have said, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I know her. I know all kinds of details about her life, but to really know her Nope. I didn't spend too much time even talking to you about that. The only thing I ever talked to you about was me. That was it. I talked about myself. That's all I ever did. I say that underlying a lot of addiction and things like that it's selfishness. And I've heard listen, I know the science of the trauma. I know every bit of it. I disagree with you. I think there's this element of selfishness that exists, and we don't want to say it because God forbid someone gets their feelings hurt again. But it's true. It is selfishness. Selfishness means to act without consideration for others, or a lack of consideration for others.
Right.
It does not give intent, right? I'm not trying to hurt anybody when I'm being selfish. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you lack consideration of others.
Yeah.
Therefore, definitionally, that is selfish.
Right.
You are selfish. I was thinking about me, what I needed. Was I trying to survive? You could argue maybe, but I was a dick. Just a dickhead.
Yeah.
Must have been horrible to be with.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking about myself all the time and what I needed. And that just doesn't mean whatever substance I needed to feel okay that day, because all I ever wanted to do is just feel good. It means everything in my life, about the work stress that I'm going through, about, what I have coming up on the calendar that I need to process, or what drama happened in my life today, and never once asking for a fucking second what was going on with you.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like genuine interest in someone's life.
Right.
Okay. I know that you still, and you talked about it here, like you still wonder if I'm actually interested or if it's just a show.
Yeah.
Walk me through that.
What do you mean? I talked about that.
Well, sometimes you wonder, like, are you just doing this? Like, are you playing tricks or?
Okay. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's been a couple of years that I've had that thought, like, oh, is this really who you are? Are you like, y'all, we've been together for 24 years. Like, I've gone through so many different things with you, and you didn't hear me for so long. So when you started to do it, I'm like, I don't know if this is real or not. So is this just part of your manipulation tactics? Is this part of your active assholeness, like those behaviors that people have?
Yeah.
But you consistently did it. Your behavior has changed for at least 2 years to where my body and my mind feel safe and can trust you in that area.
I promise you, I'm nowhere close to being that smart, first of all. And I'm also not a good actor.
Well, it's not about being smart. I don't think that people understand. Well, that's a whole other episode about being intentionally manipulative in a way. Like there's a way we'll go through the gray area of that. But I don't think I think you're pretty smart. It could have been something that you just was in you. I think it might have been something that was in you. Like, what if you were doing it because that's just all you know? That's who you are. Maybe it is a show. But you told me that what?
Thinking way too hard.
I know.
That deep. It's not that deep.
I know. It's not, right?
No.
But is it?
No. Oh my God. I watch too much ID channel, man.
I don't watch that as much.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's really easy, I think, in relationships to fall into routines where you feel like you know somebody and you don't actually know them. And my guess is if you were sent this episode, you probably don't know them as well as you think you do.
Yeah, if this was a shared episode, you might want to
just imagine some dude getting this, but what the fuck are they talking about? I know her just fine. No, like
yeah, I know her stuff. I'm interested.
Knowing facts about your partner does not equal like actually connecting emotionally on a deep level whatsoever. It's about truly asking them questions about what their inner world is like. It is about listening actively, active listening, which is a skill. I didn't come with this. I had to develop it over time.
Oh yeah,
to listen actively. I hear a lot about ADHD. I know I have this thing. I've been diagnosed with this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not about to 1 second make an excuse because I'm not one of those people that makes an excuse for it. No. It's my head's loud and it moves all over the place. It takes skill. It takes effort. The only reason I'm saying any of that because it takes effort to actively listen. Yeah. It really does.
It does. Yeah.
To sit still and to cast aside anything that you'd like to say in that moment and sort of this I don't want you to even call it whatever we call a discussion where it's like you take a turn, I take a turn, you take a turn. It's like this rapport, like this repetition of talking. It's about assume you never get to talk and just listen. Yeah. And just listen. The interesting question will come to your mind if you're actually listening.
Yes, that's true.
You don't have to think about it.
No, you don't have to think about it because you let the conversation just flow. You let it do its thing and you don't chime in or interrupt somebody whenever you're like, oh, I need to say this. No, let it go and maybe they'll say it or maybe you'll forget it and it won't even be relevant for the conversation because you want them to finish what their thought is. You want them to finish what they're saying. And then you can say, okay, that's great. And if you have something to say, cool. If not, that's all right too.
And for someone who's a good active listener, this is probably why small talk is so hard for you too. because it's bullshit. There's nothing deeper than
Yeah.
what you all been up to. You know,
Nothing.
if you just say nothing,
Cool.
that's it, or weather talk or any of that kind of shit. There's not much to it, but to actually listen with intent and then ask deep questions based on that, and listen once again with intensity and show genuine curiosity in whatever someone's going through. That creates emotional safety for somebody. When you can just have a genuine conversation, you're actually listening, and you can be open as well. It lets them know that you can be yourself with me. Very few things are more attractive in a person than that.
Yeah.
Then I'll show you parts of me that are maybe uncouth, and you can do the same. You can feel safe to do the same.
Yeah.
That's
Being authentic.
That's how you connect.
Yeah.
If you're in a relationship with addiction, I can almost guarantee you this isn't happening because you're not having these conversations. You're not, because they're not me, the version of me, whoever it is that is in your life, is not telling you the real deal.
No.
Probably not.
No.
They're probably not describing to you what their day-to-day is like, because so much of it has to go under the table as to keep it from you, because they don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to cause a stir, don't want to cause any issues, because there's a lot of lies and deceit that go along with it. So I promise you, even if you think you're in a pretty good spot, you're not. You're just not.
Yeah.
There's no way.
No.
There is absolutely no way.
Nope.
And so spouses of addicts are oftentimes overlooked. Whenever, like, back to us, when it was all about me, very little about you, hardly anything about you. Or if, like, ours is kind of a hidden addiction, but if someone knows about the addiction, all they do is they spend time looking around for the bottles. They look around at bank accounts. They are looking
Locations.
at Life 360 and, Find My iPhone and all that shit. And
Figuring out passwords.
yeah, figuring out,
Digging through the
looking at
trash.
your patterns, your moods, the triggers, everything is on that one person. And as a result, your emotional needs just go unmet.
Yeah.
Completely unmet.
Even from yourself. You're not even meeting your own needs.
No, no, man. Most people, when they start the course, find out that, like, oh, wow, I have never really even dealt with a lot of this shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so what can you do to make someone feel known? If you actually want to do what I did and, like, figure out how to truly make someone feel known, how do we go about it? Walk me through it.
Ask better questions.
Like what?
Something like, what's something you've been thinking about lately that no one's asked you about?
That's a good one. That's
Yeah.
a really good question.
Yeah. You want to answer that?
Right now? No.
Okay.
I'll talk about it after the show.
Okay. We'll have this discussion off air.
But for you, actually, I could probably say with that question, no, not so much. You know everything.
How have your dreams or goals changed recently? You can even ask about your values, or what have you been doing lately? How are you feeling? Like, how do you feel about what I said the other day? Or what did you have any deep conversations with your friends? You know, just get interested in them and what they're feeling and how they're processing things.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Certain times in your life, it's difficult. It's more difficult or less difficult to process things, and it reveals a lot about your emotional state.
Yeah.
When you're going through stuff, there's blocks that are put up. Like if you're depressed, the inability to really process through an emotion, to do anything with it other than just break down over it.
Yeah.
It reveals a lot about someone. Ask these kinds of questions.
Yep.
Talked about staying present and listening actively. I tried my best to listen like I'm never going to talk again. Just listening to that person.
Yeah.
And then naturally, you will have a question that is so compelling because you're interested in it, not because you think they would want to answer it, that you ask it.
Yep. And validate the emotions instead of trying to fix them, instead of trying to make them stop feeling how they're feeling.
Listen up, boys.
Yeah.
We got to stop doing this. I say we, because I do this too.
A lot of this is actually really important to do with your children as well, so that they feel like they're known, or feel like they're heard, or feel like they're safe. You know, have these conversations, talk to them, validate them, be interested in them. You know, be interested in what they want. What do they want out of life? How are they feeling? And it's not just like, what are you doing at school? You know, what are you learning at school? Ask them some deep questions. Like, we have deep conversations with our kids.
Is there, and I'm sure there's going to be a ton of things. Because I was going to ask the question, do you, like, what if you're just genuinely not interested in whatever someone's into? I was just looking at
like
cars with our son.
Okay.
You don't really
No, but I tried. Like, I mean, I'll get interested. I don't need to be involved. I think it's different. Being interested and being involved are different. Like, I don't need to be involved in your interests, but I want to be interested in your interests. And like, I can also let you have your space too. Like, I don't care about what y'all, that's y'all's thing too. But whenever it's you looking at stuff, I guess sometimes I'm just like, I don't really care.
I
care, but I don't, because I've been interested in all of your stuff for so long.
I guess I'm thinking about you with dance. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I know nothing of dance. I've heard some of these terms, but I don't know what they look like.
I don't expect
For
you to.
real, I don't. Like,
I really
sometimes
don't.
when you guys come home and I'm asking questions as I'm interested, it gets over my head so far so quickly that suddenly I don't even know what I'm listening to anymore.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but at least you kind of fake it till you make it in a way. Like, I'm
just interested. I just want to know. I want to know enough to understand, but then I can also infer from the way that you talk about it how much it's really interesting to you. And it makes me more interested to want to know more about it.
Right.
You went to a competition a few weeks back, and so I sat there and I watched so many kids dance on TV. It was on YouTube.
Yeah.
Streamed.
I wasn't here. This is when we were not. You didn't go to her.
I watched so many of them.
Yeah.
Because our daughter does it. You do it. It's obviously something that's very important to you guys. So I'm going to sit here and have some opinions about this. I don't know what I'm looking at, but I'm going to watch it for sure.
Okay.
I think I can kind of tell what's good and what's bad now, but I'm interested in you.
Yeah.
I truly am interested in you. Right. I don't think you can fake it.
Well, okay, you'll turn on certain car videos on YouTube, and when you first started doing it, I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is interesting. Like, what's his name? I don't even know. Matt Armstrong. Yeah. Like, I think he's great. Like, I love that you're interested in that, and then I would get interested too. But then there are times where I'm just like, nah, I'm going to do my own thing. I don't really care to watch this. And I think that's healthy too. You can have your own stuff. I don't expect people to be like involved in everybody's hobbies or their interests. It's just being interested in their interests.
Yeah.
So with that, I am. But like earlier when you and MJ were doing the car thing and y'all were looking at stuff, I was kind of like, cool, he's actually got somebody who's interested in it and they can talk about it and y'all love it and that's great. And he's learning from it because he really cares. Me, I can only take so much of you wanting to get a 1981 BMW and fix it up, like, and talking about all the different parts that go in it. Like, I think it's cool. I love cars. Like, I really do. And I've liked cars ever since we were in high school, but I don't get into depth.
You don't get in the weeds with it.
I don't get into the weeds because then I'm just like, I'm not really fully interested in that. And I think that's okay, but I'm still interested in what you're interested in.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Is that like the line?
Absolutely. I think what we're kind of getting at here is that you have to stay curious because people are incredibly complex and they evolve over time. So their emotions will evolve, their interests will evolve, their thoughts and their feelings about stuff will evolve.
Yeah, things will change.
The goal you should be chasing to have a great relationship and to have connection is to stay up to date and up to current events on those. I know a lot of people that read a hell of a lot more about politics than they ever would about their supposed best friend or any number of things that they're interested in. But what about your partner? I've said it before. If there was a competition for greatest relationship on earth, I would put us in it and expect to win it. Expect to win it. Like, I know you, you know me. I feel known, you feel known. This is because we are involved in each other's lives. And it's not just because I'm attracted to you. I find you fascinating. And I would be willing to bet that even for couples that don't talk a hell of a lot, you could rediscover some really fascinating things about your person.
Yeah.
You really could.
Yeah.
They're not as boring as you think. I promise you they're not. Even if all they do is knit and you're not into knitting, you're into something else. There's something interesting about that.
Talk about ask them what podcasts they're listening to.
Yeah.
If they watch YouTube, what channels are they watching on YouTube? And this, like I said, it's surface level stuff, but it gets you interested, and it's to where you don't have to go so deep just yet. Like, maybe you're just like really trying to restart this communicating and validating and active listening, and you're like, I don't know what to do. Start there. Start with asking, like, what podcasts are they listening to? Or if they drive to work in the mornings, hey, what do you listen to on your way to work? What route do you take? Like, really small things that you can get interested in that. Well, I'm sure you probably know what route they take based on if you're looking at their location. But I'm just saying, like, just ask questions, talk about it, and you'll be interested in what they're doing. Yeah.
Get interested. Just get interested. They're not as boring as you think, I promise you. And the peace of mind that you will feel from having that connection is second to none. And from a selfish standpoint, you will feel incredibly good about yourself when they feel good about themselves when they're around you. It's a good feeling. Everyone wins. It's like a beautifully selfish thing, as I put it earlier. Ask yourself right now, how well do you know your partner's fears and joys and tastes and dreams and aspirations? How well do you know those things? How well do you actually know them, what they're into right now? And if you don't, then get busy connecting.
And it may be different than when y'all got married or when you got together, because we do evolve and we change.
Yeah. And you might find we have nothing in common.
Yeah,
absolutely zero. I don't really like your interests and you don't like mine, and I'm not even interested in what you're interested in. You might just find you're completely incompatible. At least you've got an answer.
Yeah, that's true.
You should got
That's
something.
true. Yeah.
But I'm pretty convinced that, like, I believe, who was it that created Higher Up Wellness?
Yeah.
Said this the other day, and I love it. I've always felt this way. He just articulated it so much better than I ever have. He said, every single person in the world can teach you something. I don't care how much you disagree with somebody, they can teach you something.
Yep.
And we should always keep our mind open to what someone can teach us. You have no idea unless you're open to receiving it. If you're closed off to it, you've got preconceived notions about somebody or something, you're not going to pick up anything.
Yeah.
You're going to stay stuck because of it. Good friend of mine, Dr. Taylor, actually started hosting a Dungeons and Dragons game. Dude, I didn't grow up watching any wizards or
Oh, no,
fairies.
you didn't do that until your like early
sci-fi.
30s.
None of this stuff.
Yeah.
But I've kind of made it a rule for myself in recovery to be open about all concepts, because
That is so true.
because
I never even thought
being
about
open
that.
about a concept actually saved my life.
Yeah.
You know, if I'd have been closed to the idea of recovery or how to go about recovery, any of them, then I probably wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't. So I take it seriously. It's one of my values, be open-minded. I started playing Dungeons and Dragons, which I knew nothing about, and it is the best time ever.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about this shit. Kept an open mind, just immersed myself in the experience, watched other people, asked questions, got interested, did some of my own reading and watched some stuff. And I find I like it.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I think the game it's hilarious and it's fun and it's thrilling. And yeah, something, if you'd have asked me 10 years ago or 12 years ago, I'd be like, you're out of your fucking mind.
Oh, yeah.
Playing Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. Harry Potter's dumb too. That's what I love Harry Potter now.
Oh, I know.
Back then I would have said that. I would have said that.
Star Wars.
Stay open, man. Stay open. Stay interesting. Every single person in your life can teach you something.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Try to know them.
Know
Make them feel known.
Know them.
All right. I wanted to go back to what you had said earlier about reconnecting.
Okay.
A lot of people are going to want to reconnect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think a lot of people are in a position where they feel great like we do. Hey, I feel known. You feel known. We're good.
Yeah. How do you start?
Let's say that it's a situation like us, what you went through whenever I became actually interested in your life.
Mm-hmm.
In the process of you letting yourself be vulnerable with some of this stuff without the fear of rejection, how did you let me in again?
I had to keep trying. I had to like allow myself to at least ask you or talk to you without the fear, of being rejected. I guess it's not really a fear I would have. It would just be like, all right, if I get rejected, I'm just going to have to manage this and handle this and see where it goes. I think I just went with the flow on that, but it took a while for me to be okay.
Was some of it hard because you had just never had the platform to do much of that? It felt weird? Or had you always wanted to tell me more?
I don't know. That's a deep question. I can't answer that off the tip of my tongue.
Okay. Back to your first one. Back to the first question though. You kind of put yourself out there, and in some ways you create an expectation in your mind. I expect them to act differently this time, but your body also tells you you've been rejected on this
in patterns
so many times.
Yeah.
You've got so much evidence that shows this is not going to go well.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, did you just take a leap of faith, or was it a process of me reaching out that let you know it was okay first?
Oh, well, I like how you worded that. And it's more of the process of you reaching out, because you would ask me or you would validate me on something or ask me if I was interested in something.
That's kind of how I felt it went, but I wanted to check with you, check your experience too.
See, no, you know better than I do.
So if you're a guy, this is how it works. I just confirmed it. Is we weren't consciously doing this. I was just genuinely trying to connect with my wife.
Yeah.
I would reach out about things and talk to her, and you would get some really short answers. And I think I know why now. Part of it was scared too.
Mm-hmm.
2 was probably, is he fucking with me right now?
Mm-hmm.
Is this a show? Like, what does he want? Does he want sex? Does he want like to buy a car? Or like, what does he want from me? Why is
Like
he
a
asking me
child.
about my life?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I just kept doing it because I was actually interested and I wanted to actually connect with her. And then what I would do is if you would give me anything, if you would give me an inch, I would take a mile. So someone that you listen to, I would go listen to it, or something that I saw you browsing, like I would order something for you.
Yep.
Like it was a way that, and it wasn't doing it so I could earn points. I didn't get anything for this. I just wanted to know you better. I wanted to know my best friend again.
Yeah.
And it was like just truly making an effort to let you know that you matter to me.
Right. So I think that it was like we've said before, you had more of the responsibility of rebuilding that back up than I did, because I didn't know where to start. I wouldn't know what to say because patterns created beforehand would make me afraid to say anything to you.
Yeah.
So then you actually bringing it up first kind of gave me the okay of like, oh, well, okay, maybe he is serious about this. Maybe I can let my guard down a little bit. You know, each time I would let my guard down more and more.
Yeah. And after it was consistently making the effort over a quite some time.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, this has probably played out over years.
Yes.
Like a
Oh,
lot
for sure.
of other things, but obviously you do get wins along the way as you reconnect. But where we're at right now has been the process. It's years in the making, trying to reconnect and trying to really understand you. I do the same thing with the kids too. Like I'm into stuff they're in. I would say I don't know, I'm bad about getting caught with like impulse buys on the internet. I'd say probably once a month at least, something shows up here that is for you or for one of the kids that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
It's something I thought you would like because this is something you're interested in.
Yeah.
But I know that because I care.
And that's kind of newish because we've talked about this before. I used to do this with you all the time. Like I would get you random things that I saw online, or like I loved getting you cards. I liked, if I saw something, maybe he would like this. I stopped doing that after a while
because it wasn't reciprocated.
Because it wasn't reciprocated, and it's not like I'm transactional. It was just at a point.
It's like, I guess we don't care about this.
It was like, maybe it's not that big of a deal since he doesn't really care about it. Maybe I shouldn't care about it, so I'm just going to kind of stop doing it because it's not that big. And now the tables have turned since I've stopped doing that. You started really doing it, and you've started like showing me that I'm thinking about you, like, oh, I thought about you, so I'm getting you this. And that was new. Like, you would do that occasionally when we were younger, obviously. Like, you would bring me flowers. Usually it was because he fucked up. But but now it's like the other day you found a romper online, or a jumper.
Yeah.
You saw a jumper online and you're like, I don't know why I'm seeing this, but I think I want to get this for you. And I was like, wait, what? It's like, it's still kind of weird, but it's sweet. It's awesome. I love that you do that, but I'm still just like, huh?
Yeah. You can fake it in short periods of short bursts, but long, consistent efforts only come from a real place, authentic. You actually want this for the right reasons for it to happen. So for a while, if you're trying to rebuild this and you're reaching out and you're trying to connect over and over and over, don't get frustrated if they don't give you what you want right away, which is safety, or letting them letting you know that they feel safe or heard or validated. Keep going for the right reasons and keep trying to connect. And it could take a long time, but it's no reason to give up. Don't be a bitch about it. Just keep going. Just keep going.
If you're doing it for the right reasons, it just should come natural to you at some point.
Some people get really hurt in reverse too, if they're reaching out, trying over and over and over.
Yeah.
And they're not getting this like, oh, I recognize you. I see that you're trying. They get hurt by that and just quit. Like, can't win, don't try. I'm just going to give up.
Well, how was our experience with that?
I think there were many times where you were sort of dismissive about the whole thing or seemed weird about it, but I don't care. That's what I said. Don't be a little bitch about it. Just keep going. Just keep doing it. How much do you care?
I mean, I'm appreciative
and if you actually
of these things.
care, if you're doing it for the right reasons, then it won't
It
matter.
doesn't matter
what your
how they
reaction
respond.
is.
Right.
My goal is at the end of the day, like, I want you to feel loved because you're amazing. And I want you to know that. And time and attention are probably the most valuable assets in the entire world. And if you give someone your time and attention, that means more than anything else. In order to know anything about you, I have to give you those two things, my time and attention, which you don't get a lot of any other time, like addiction or any of this shit. So it's really important. But that is interesting. Kind of back to the point of this little tangent we went on, is that if you're trying to reconnect, there's going to be a period of time where it feels kind of forced and it's going to feel weird, and they're going to pull back, like Paige pulled back because she wasn't really sure where this was coming from. And do I let him do this kind of stuff? Because do I reciprocate it? Because I've tried that before and it didn't feel good and it hurt really bad. And there's going to be a lot of weird feelings about it and strange emotions. Just be persistent. I've said before, like, time heals. Time and consistency heals pretty much everyone in the world.
Well,
be consistent over a long period of time.
Yeah.
Be consistent over a very long period of time.
Yeah.
Show genuine interest and they will feel known and they will feel safe. And when someone truly feels that way, like, everything changes. Like, the energy in the room changes. Like, the conversations you have change. Conversations that used to be off limits. Like, there's no more ego involved if you want to say that I could do better somewhere or vice versa, because you know that you're known and loved and truly understood. I'm not just trying to mold you into, like, this thing that I want.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a rare thing. And I hate that it's rare. I wish more people put a little more effort into it.
Yeah.
In addiction, I guess it's almost a given that people are going to more or less suck about this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is
For
what it is.
Yep.
So we've got some takeaway questions. Yourself, these questions.
To reflections.
Do you feel known by the person that is closest to you? Do you feel known by them? Are you making space for your partner to feel known? How often do you truly listen without trying to solve a problem? Those are 3 really, really good questions to ask yourself.
Oh yeah.
And again, like, the paradox of all of this is that whenever we instinctively reach out to other people and ask genuine questions about their lives and get interested in them, they feel known. And the paradox of all that is that they think that we are interesting in return.
Yeah.
When I'm doing nothing more than just trying to be interested in you.
Mm-hmm.
It's about you, but you will feel
safe and you'll feel comfortable and you'll feel like, oh, this person, like, hears me. They know me. They actually care, just because they're listening to you and asking you questions.
So try to have a feeling known conversation with someone that you care about today, whoever that is. If that's your mom, if that's your dad, if that's your spouse, if that's your sibling or
Friends, kids.
friend, have that conversation. Nothing is more important to us, I think, than the connection of feeling truly known by somebody. There's not much else in the world, I think, that can actually feel better than that. So hope you get that. Hope you have those kinds of conversations. We got anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. Until next time, I am Matt.
I'm Paige.
And we'll see you.
Bye.